to say it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be.
I have to say, it's impossible to be objective. It's all about a lot of images and sounds flashing by on a screen that kind of try and encapsulate the last 37 years of your life into like an hour and 40 minutes.
It's like trying to describe a marriage in 2 pages. So.
No, I could do that easily. I can't describe the Mekons in any less time than 37 years. No, it's very strange. I can't be objective.
No, I can't either. Some of it is how I see
I do
myself.
appreciate Joe's hard work and diligence and getting it done. Amazing, really.
I'm speechless.
It's like a doo-wop group without a song.
Do you? All right. Is there something, when you saw this movie, is there something you felt that was left out, that you wanted in this movie?
Mitch. Mitch was left out.
I just think this could be one of many movies, and then maybe there's another movie.
No more movies.
No, I imagine a movie of just Mitch describing driving around London on his bike, just describing.
Mitch is always in it.
And the movie would be about 20 years long. And it'd be great.
Looking at me like I'm safe.
It's your turn to say something now, Sally.
Well, I have a bit of an issue, I'll be honest, with the whole concept of documentaries about bands, because I just think there are so many of them, and I don't know if you can really capture what it, I mean, you capture what it is to be a band by standing on stage in front of your audience, and when you try and capture it on film, maybe something of that experience is lost, and so I don't know how much is gained by knowing the ins and outs of what we do. But at the same time, I realize that people do want to know and people get something out of it. So as a musician, I find it very tough to watch a lot of rock documentaries or any music documentaries or anything about people's lives, because I just wonder what it really tells you that you really need to know other than looking at the work. So I've always felt like we present ourselves, it's pretty obvious what we are, and the stuff that isn't revealed maybe doesn't even need to be known, but if people want to know it, then some of it is there, and a huge swathe of 35 years isn't. So that's the best I can say. I think that applies to anybody who's trying to do it. It's no reflection on you. I think it's just the nature of the beast.
I just felt it was like every time I appeared on the screen and I said something, it was a moment I couldn't even remember. And not because I'm a completely, Alzheimer's drunken loon, but I just, there's a lot of things happened in 36 years, and it was odd. And I remember Joe coming to the studio and filming, but it's like, oh my God, what am I going to say next?
So
I hope I'm not going to say something derogatory about any of my band members. No. But God knows, I fucking realized when I went into this documentary situation not to do that.
I now know what.
And I'm glad, and when I said Steve can't play the drums, I'm glad Joe edited that out.
I know what Mick Jagger felt like when
Steve is a very good drummer.
Shut up!
No, you shut up.
I know what Mick Jagger felt like when he watched the Stones at Altamont, and he watched himself going blah 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 blah, and he said, "What a fucking idiot" to himself. It's like,
did you feel like an idiot?
I felt like a complete fucking idiot.
Really? Yeah. I liked you.
Amazingly enough,
what I liked was your head was about nearly the size of the building.
No, it was not as, and yet it was not as big as Kevin's head.
No.
Well, Kevin's head was very, very big.
Kevin's head was wider than yours, yet not as tall.
Kevin's head was wider than I've ever seen it. It's very wide. That is a very wide head.
Let me ask a question.
I think we should reenact the whole movie now. From the start, scene 1. Susie Honeyman as Eric Bellis.
So last night I was at the opening night film here, which was the Errol Morris film on Donald Rumsfeld. And at the end of the movie, Errol Morris, off camera, asked Donald Rumsfeld, goes, "Why did you do this movie?" And I never really asked you that. So now that you've seen it, and
Because I'm not fucking Donald Rumsfeld.
why?
Fucking war criminal. I've just been a stupid band for things.
No, but given what Sally just
Doesn't
said
really mean anything.
about music documentaries and stuff. So why did, if you can think back to 6 years
You
ago?
asked us to do it. The path of least resistance at the time. You seem quite determined.
We just thought, why?
I don't know. I quite.
Why
enjoyed
did
it.
you-
Did anyone enjoy watching the movie? Which I wasn't expecting. There was surprising moments. Yeah, bits and I liked that.
I remember you saying, "You got to tell us what Lou does in Tajikistan. He's a spy. We don't know."
I think I said, just don't have too many fucking talking heads like the Ken Burns, like just off to one side with a coffee cup. You know.
Well, I will say
There's about half an hour of Kevin doing that, but he does speak very well, Kevin, of the early years of the Mekons, which we can't remember.
there was a moment 4 years ago. John and I went down to Wilmington, North Carolina, for the Cucalores Film Festival, which we're going to tomorrow, where the film's playing. And at the time, it was like a year into it. I hadn't really shot any interview. I'd shot some interviews, but we hadn't cut anything into it. And what we showed there was really just a rough assemblage of scenes. There was like 5 minutes of Lou speaking on a radio station in Russian. And it wasn't even subtitled, because I haven't done that yet. And so a few years later, there was a rough cut that I showed them. And I remember there was like at the time what John had told me, it was like, I'm really happy there's just like no like off-center shots of people talking into the camera interviews. I was like, oh, they'll be there. They're just not there yet.
One thing that struck me about this movie is when you see Kevin, when you see Mark White, when you see Dick Taylor, you see other people who were in the band, and they're talking about the band. They're never talking about what I did. They're never talking about my role. They're talking about the band and their time in it. And it's as if they still feel part of the band. They still feel responsible for it. They still feel part of its project, as you once called it. Do you feel that they're still in the band in a way?
Well, actually, Dick Taylor called me and he said, "This young man from New York has asked me when I left the Mekons, and I can't remember." And it still said 1989 up there. And I said, "Dick, you didn't ever leave, did you really?" He went like, "No, I don't think I did." So I said, "Just tell him you didn't leave." We always said the only way to leave the Mekons is in a box. So,
That's true, and Kevin came and sang with us when we just played in Yorkshire. And Mark White, we were going to ask him, but he's in Uganda working on some kind of project out there, so we were going to ask him to come and do things again. And so I think, the idea that people can kind of move in and out, and they all have different things that they can add to the band.
I think only one person was ever kicked out of the Mekons.
Was it you?
I don't want to go into it, but I really, people leave, but they don't have to. You know what I mean? You can always hang on if you feel like it.
Fucking David Bowie. David Bowie kicked out.
So
Now
yes,
it can be
it's-
told, but not that David Bowie.
It's late.
They're all treated with respect. Everybody that's played in the Mekons is still treated with respect.
And they're not all here tonight, but thank you all for coming. This was a great night.